Why, hello, YouTube. This is Baylor Mage. Welcome back, everybody. We are looking at Holy Relic again, but this time we're solving a massive problem. One of the more common pieces of feedback I got was either I really like the look of this build or I really liked playing this build, but I can't handle Animate Guardians and Spectres. They're a pain in the ass. They turn me off minions. I don't want to use them. In the past, I have told people a lot, if you just can't put up with using a Spectre and Animate Guardian, this is probably not the build for you. You probably don't want to do minions. They're balanced around having Animate Guardians. They're balanced around having Spectres. We re-looked at that a lot during this league, and I decided I thought I could make a good go of it without them at all. And it turns out we can. I did an entire Zero to Hero series. It was 5 videos long on YouTube this league, where I league started on a fresh account with this version. This version has no Spectres, no Animate Guardian. We also dropped every single aura. The reason for doing that is so that we could also run 0 aura effect maps, or 97 to 104% reduced aura effect maps, which is like when you really juice up maps, that's how high the map effect goes. I wanted to be completely immune to all alters, completely immune to all map mods. I wanted to never have to read. I wanted to never have to think. I wanted absolutely everything to just work. I just wanted to be able to throw alks on things, vals them if I want to, and just slap them in without ever having to read. And I didn't want to deal with Spectres, and I didn't want to deal with an Animate Guardian, and I didn't want to deal with anything that would die, that would be more inconvenient than just pressing a button to resummon it. If it was more inconvenient than just like, oop, that thing died, press E, there it is, it's back again. If it was more inconvenient than that, not interested. And we came up pretty good. So let's jump into the path buildings and we'll see what's going on. Okay, so you can see I have 2 path buildings on my screen here. This one is the new one we've worked on, and this one is the old one. So they're both in the exact same set of gear. They're both at the same level of progression. Both of these are what I would consider end of day 2 gear, which for me, that might be different for you. This could be day 4 or day 5 or whatever. It's my end of day 2 gear, where I have a Diala's, there are no corruptions. I have an Ashes, there are no corruptions. I have some basic rare gear. I have Trigger. I have a Darkness. I have an Eminemahu's Gaze. I have an Elegant Hubris on, but it's just a single stat Elegant Hubris. There's nothing special. It's got 1 useful stat on it. That's it. The Cluster Jewel is like pretty bad. It's just starter Cluster Jewel. The jewels that we have in our tree also pretty bad, but they bring me up to Poison Cap, and that's all that really matters. Everything in a pretty decent spot, able to do stuff, but not super well geared. So what are the differences between last time and now? So this down here is last time with Spectres, Animate Guardians, all those buffs put into the config. Full DPS in that current gear, 6.8 million. Exactly the same gear, no Spectre, no Animate Guardian, 6.15. We did drop a little bit of damage. So be it. That's the price we're paying. Honestly, that is a very small drop. That is a very small drop in damage to completely get rid of buffing Spectres and an Animate Guardian. So how did we go on tank? Well, if we scroll up here, don't worry about the effective hit pool. That's not very telling. It's really max hits that matter. Unfortunately, it's the Fizz max hit. Don't worry about this too. I was messing around with gear and it's now not res capped on those elemental resistances. It is res capped on the fire one, so that's what all the elemental would be. Our max Fizz hit used to be 16.9, basically 17, but 16.9, and our elemental was 45. Our elemental actually went up in the new version. Instead of 45, we're looking at 57. Fizz hit went down slightly, 16.2 instead of 16.9. So that's what we lost losing an Animate Guardian and Spectres. That is a very small loss for huge quality of life increases. So let's go over what we did different. Few things. One, we're changing shields. No one's using Aegis Aurora anymore. Aegis Aurora is dead to us. This is the most meta shield. This is going to be the most meta shield for the entirety of this league until they eventually probably nerf it. It's very, very, very strong. Please don't think that this is mandatory. Any heal on block shield will work pretty well. And for all of your progression, just any shield at all will work fine. Other than that, no, none of the rest of the gear really changed, except I am no longer using the Asenath's Gentle Touch. I'm just using rare gloves. The real answer to that is I just want my resistances to be as easy as possible. I'm looking for as low effort as possible. So we're just not using it because I don't want to have resistance problems. But what did we do with all of our mana if we're getting rid of all of our auras? And what did we do with all of our sockets if we're getting rid of our Spectre and Animate Guardian? Well, auras are no longer auras. They're things that don't scale with aura effect, but still take our mana. So we've kept Tempest Shield. We now have Arctic Armor, which gives us 21% less physical damage taken and less fire damage taken. And we have Flesh and Stone, which will be in Sand stance, meaning we will have 20% less damage from enemies in area. Now that's only the enemies right next to us. That scales out as it goes outside of the aura, and anything from range that doesn't count for. That being said, all of the dangerous mobs we plan on being next to. This is a very much shield charge into something and look at it in the face until it dies build. So defensively, it has worked very well for us, but that is just one layer. It is true that one layer does not work for range, but honestly, it's been great, so it's fine. Arctic Armor, like, oh, this only works while you're stationary. We're stationary most of the time, though, actually, because we shield charge or Whirling Blades quite fast, and we just go, move, stop, move, stop. And every time we're stopped, that's when we're attacking. That's usually when you get hit. Usually don't get hit while moving. So, again, fantastic defense. That's some of our mana, not enough of it. We're still using utility minions. It's just that instead of utility minions that we have to worry about dying, like Animate Guardians, or we have to worry about finding the correct corpses for, which cost money, like Spectres, I've gone with Herald of Purity. Herald of Purity procs its minions by the same thing we're already doing. They just proc when you hit stuff. Anytime you hit rare or unique enemies, 20% chance to summon them. That is all the time. They are out all the time. These guys get to provide us with Feeding Frenzy. That's super important. That's a 10% more damage multiplier. We couldn't afford to lose that. They also get to Cull. We lost Cull because we lost a Kingmaker for the Animate Guardian. I wanted Cull back. That's where they come. Summon Phantasm works for two reasons. One, it has a chance on hit on rare or uniques. So anytime there is a boss or a rare that lives longer than half a second, these guys will hit it and summon phantasms. The Herald of Purities will hit it and summon phantasms. And while clearing, the Culling Strike, which is linked to these guys, will get enough kills to get you a phantasm up every now and then. We want phantasms, but we don't really need many. You will notice that this often sits at 2, 3, 4, 5, somewhere around there. It's quite a low number. The reason it exists is to get us to 10 minions as much as possible. We want to be at 10 minions because we did lose a lot of tank. We're trying to make up a lot of tank. One of the things that we lost a lot of was Bone Barrier. We used to have 2 or sometimes 3 Spectres and an Animate Guardian. That's 4 extra monsters we lost, or minions we lost. Bone Barrier gives you 1% additional physical damage reduction per minion up to 10. So now we have 3 Holy Relics, and then we have 4 of the Herald of Purities, and then Summon Phantasm fills in that little hole to bring us up to 10. So that works that way. That's pretty fantastic. Otherwise, not much else has changed. The rest of the build stays the same. Everything functions the same. once we have that Sylvania shield that I can never pronounce, I put a level 1 frost bomb in it. I just like getting rid of regen. It's not very important. This could be anything. You could put dash in here. You could put anything you want in here. It's just that one empty spot. You could also put like an elemental golem in there just to have another minion. There's plenty of options there. I went with frost bomb. That's fine. Gear all stayed exactly the same. Spec all stayed pretty much the same. The only difference being, since we dropped our armor, we also dropped this cluster at the end. And since we had extra points, we picked up a little bit of max res. And since we were now stacking endurance charges, which we get hit a lot. This is how we're getting our endurance charges, by the way. Just get hit. Just stand in everything. Just shield charge into the middle of packs and stand there like you're immortal, because you are. Take that. Get your endurance charges. So we've got our endurance charge there. We've got our endurance charge there. And because we do not need Death Attunement or Decay Ward, because we're not desperately trying to keep minions alive anymore, we get to anoint another endurance charge, which is relatively cheap. 2 opalescent oils. Day 2 of the league, this league, they were like 8 chaos each. So an extra endurance charge is fantastic. So those are the updates. The written guide is not updated. This is mostly a test run, see how everyone feels about it. If anybody has, especially if you've played the build before, but also if you've never played the minion builds because you were sick of those things, I would love to hear feedback if anybody runs this. I know a lot of people will, because a lot of people are asking for it. Feedback, very much appreciated. I will be updating the written guide if it survives till next league. The written guide will come with it. For now, it's just a video. All right, that is all. I hope this is helpful to everybody, and I will see everybody later. Goodbye.